Hello everybody and welcome to this tournament playthrough video for Pro and Expert Division with variable wins. In this video I will go through all the holes that you will be playing in the tournament. Follow along with the playthrough information that you can find here on the side. That's club information, ball information, also when it comes to elevation, club distance and stuff like that. If you don't want to follow that, you don't have to if you don't want to, but there's always a plan behind it. Now, let's enjoy the video and go to hole number one. For hole number one here in Pro, we are going to be playing with our extra mile to start with. Stretch out to max to find the bullseye being centered on the fairway island. We are going to bounce on the island into the rough to roll out. 2.5 bar topspin and 2 right spin is what we're using. An adjustment is going to be max plus 10 P3. Push up for extra mile 9 is going to be 6 yards, extra mile 8 7 yards, and extra mile 6 and 7 9 yards. Obviously you can tweak this adjustment by playing a different club if you would like, and also play with a higher power ball. Like for an example, if you do everything, you adjust and then you push up and then you swap to a ball that do have wind 2 but power 4 or power 5, then the needle will be much less shaky. That's one way to go about it that can give you a very nice and smooth needle, and you don't have to risk doing bad grades like that. Now I'm super lucky to hit the fairway pad, but you can see that I'm still hitting it with a great left, clipping the rough to roll out for a wedge. Because that's what we're gonna do. We're going to roll out for a wedge, and that's the plan, to just lock in the eagle in that way. The second shot's gonna be played with EB School 20% elevation, P3 numbers, as we're playing with a P3 ball. Have in mind that if you are playing with a P4 or P5 ball, then you will have to have in mind that you're gonna have to switch and play that power ball number instead. We're looking for having the long rollout with our wedge here. Obviously try to look around for non-glitchy spots. Sometimes this green is not really a friend of ours in that, with that in mind, but we do our best and we're gonna center the ball, hit perfect, and give ourselves a good chance here to get the eagle. For option number 2 on hole number 1, this is going to be a shot where we do have headwind of tee. When I'm saying headwind, I mean where we do have more headwind than what we do have crosswind. Because if we do have some decent crosswind here, even if it is with a little bit of headwind, we can still reach to the pad in the center. But now in this scenario, we cannot. So we use the adjustment max plus 10. And we're using top spin together with left spin to get the ball down the fairway. The goal here for me in this type of wind angle is to not go too long, because I want to position myself to be into minimum distance with our long iron for the second shot. And you can see here now that we're going to play this shot pretty downhill. And I'm using the Grizzly to make sure that I'm having a good ball guideline here. Ball guideline to the hole, I'm not using any left spin or right spin. Trying to just keep myself with backspin. Ball guideline to the hole, and once again, we're gonna use the minimum distance here with our adjustment. Minimum distance plus 25%. A perfect ball is going to be close. If you would be happening to go too long, or maybe we are happening to have a little bit of tailwind when we're playing the second shot, then I would recommend to play with the thorn instead from max line, and then I would recommend to play plus 20 in terms of elevation for that shot. Perfect ball, and you will notice here that the ball will be bouncing on the green, and we love when the camera turns around like this. Dead center for an eagle on hole number 1, which will be a tough one to drop consistently when we do have that bad wind of tee. For hole number 2, we're going to bounce over the rough and sand towards the pin. You can see that I'm playing NMT, and what that means is that I'm not touching the target until it's time to adjust the rings. So I'm using spin to get the ball guideline to be just through the hole. Adjustment is maximum distance with a 40% over adjustment power 3-ball settings, and that's going to be a lot of rings with the Grizzly, but I'm choosing the Grizzly here over the Goliath due to the fact that I want to have a better ball guideline than the Goliath, so I can make sure that I can use the ball guideline as a reference attacking the pin. Gets up the green and it rolls on the left side of the cup, but still in for a nice hole-in-one. I do truly believe that this is going to be a par 3, that we will see a lot of hole-in-ones. And you don't have to play an NMT if you don't want to, but I do believe in crosswind and tailwinds, that's going to be the best way to do. In headwinds, I will most likely move a little bit closer to the bunker to minimize the bounce over the bunker and the rough, so I'm not gonna go into the bunker. So for hole number 3, we're going to play on the right hand side here, regardless of what wind direction we may have. And this is a par 5 that regardless of what wind you have off tee, the second shot is going to be so extremely difficult to get an albatross on. So we're playing this one with the thought of that we're going to lock in the eagle in the safest way possible, and if we are a little bit lucky, we could have an albatross. Maximum distance plus 10 is what I'm using with the rock here. I'm trying to get the ball as far down the fairway possible, and you can see here that we are bouncing and we are rolling, and the closer we are to the rough line there at the top, the better it's going to be. If you do have a headwind, I do recommend to change to Thor's Hammer, Apocalypse, Extra Mile, whatever driver that gives you the most power. If you can use a power 5 ball with more wind resistance than what the Berserker is suggested there, like I'm doing in the video, then that's going to be better. And the reason that's going to be better is because the second shot is then going to be a little bit easier. Now, for the second shot, when having a little bit of tailwind and also having a long dry, having a good dry, we can actually play the shot that I prefer to do here, which is to go with the Guardian, go with max backspin, to first and foremost make sure that we are locking in this eagle, because wherever we are hitting this ball with our first bounce, we're still gonna stay somewhere on the green, and then the eagle is locked in. But if we are a little bit lucky, we can get the ball to get around the pin at the top and then fall back into the hole. It's a lucky drop, it's an outside chance for a drop, but the drop is there. And in the end, the most crucial thing is to lock in that eagle. And you can see we're getting close, but trust me on this, what I'm gonna say now next. The albatross here will be extremely rare to get, so don't be alarmed if you're ending up with an eagle, because that's what the majority will be getting. For hole number 4, we're going to do a rough bump with our Goliath, and the reason we want to play with the Goliath is due to its power. Grizzly will struggle having the power enough to actually reach to the spot here by using a power 3 ball. Those of you that do have the B52 can play with the B52 instead, and I would recommend to go with the B52 over the Goliath due to the better accuracy, and it will be less sensitive to great balls. All side spin to the right possible, and we're using so we have the ball guideline to go past the pin just on the right hand side. Maximum distance with a 15% over adjustment, using a 12-1 here when I do have a wind that comes right to left. If I would be having wind coming left to right, I would also go with a 12-1, because having wind left to right, then I will adjust to a higher point. Here in this instance we're adjusting to a lower point, so we need to have that pull angle to compensate for that. Dead center from hole-in-one here on hole number 4, and I do believe that it will definitely be the rough bump to be played from second tee, because it removes the most difficult part with this hole, that is to bounce on the first fairway. If you're enjoying the video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, also subscribe to the channel here and turn on the notifications. And for those of you who want to take your game to the next level, then you subscribe to our patreon.com/golfclashtommy, link in the description down below. That is for our ultimate tournament text guide. We are doing that for Master Division for this week's 9-hole cup, but do not miss out. We're doing loads of quick 9 guides as well for the month of May, so make sure to subscribe to our platform there as well. Patreon.com/GCT Quick 9. Scan the QR code on the screen or use the link in the description down below. On the drive on hole number 9, we are going to start at the top of plus 13 with extra mile level 9. We're going to be top of 14 with extra mile level 8, max with extra mile 6 and 7. 10% of the yellow ring inside the rough with extra mile level 6. 3 left spin and 4.5 bar top spin. And we're going to make an adjustment that is max plus 20 power 3, not max plus 10. That's me, a little typo, which I'm correcting here in the info box right there. So max plus 20 P3 is what we are using. Adjustment is done, and then we will apply 0.75 ball of left curl. But first we're gonna push up 6 yards after we have made our adjustment. 0.75 ball of left curl, going a little bit heavy to start with, maybe are a little bit too heavy in the end, but finding in the end I'm ending up to be very well. Trying to replicate the screenshot is obviously the easiest way for you to do that well. Now we are positioned extremely nicely. We're clipping the rough with the second bounce, which is the intention as well, to leave ourselves with a wedge. So the wedge here, now we're gonna do EB school, and here you can see we are very close to a max line, or yeah, this is max in my world, so I'm playing this one max, so 100% slider, using 2 bars of backspin here per default. And the reason we're doing that is due to the fact that there is otherwise a glitch roll that comes into play if we are not applying those backspin bars. So that's a smart way of removing the risk of a glitch roll, aiming just a smidge short of hole, and again 100% slider with a 15% elevation and P3 numbers, as we're playing with a P3 ball. Center the ball and hit perfect, and this eagle is going to be locked in an absolute box. Perfect it is. Rolls up, dead center, and we'll take it and move on. For hole number 6, I'm gonna talk a little bit about the options that you're having playing from the second tee. If we do have a headwind or we do have a crosswind, what we're going to have to do here is to put ourselves up on this fairway. And the reason we're doing so is to have an open shot towards the pin and a possibility for an albatross. Playing down the left-hand side is not really gonna do any favors for you. And the reason for that is that the first and foremost, the drive rollout is very inconsistent there. And then when taking the second shot, having to bounce on that fairway before the green on the left is even more inconsistent, and that's just going to be a worthless way, in my opinion, trying to get anything better than an eagle. If we do have a tailwind, we should be using a club with a lot of topspin, or let's say like this, use the club with the most amount of topspin. It could be a big topper, a Thor's hammer, or an apocalypse, to try to bounce on that island in the center of the water, to get the ball all the way to the green, to actually have a chance for making a condor. But now the reality is not that we do have a tailwind, so we are laying up, and I think that is something that is as equally important to show here than just sending it to green. I'm having the ball guideline through hole using 3 right spin, and now for the second shot we're gonna play 50% elevation, max distance numbers. I'm not doing that in the video, I'm using a little bit less, but have in mind that this is a very, very downhill shot from that island, and the ball will be affected loads by the wind. But the good part with the sniper is that we do have a good ball guideline, we can follow that and then have still a chance for a drop. But once again, we are not adjusting enough, need to adjust way more than I'm doing in the video, but here is an example for you at least on how to get yourself the eagle safely, but still have a chance for an albatross in a tough headwind. Hole number 5, here we want you to play with the ball with the most power, and the more wind we have, the better it is as well. Stretch out to max, regardless if you play with a P3, P4 or P5 ball. Find bullseye centered on the rough line. If you have the possibility to play with 6 topspin, use 6 topspin, otherwise you use as much as you have. Max plus 10, and once we have adjusted, we are going to hit outside wall right and max OP with a completely slow needle. Perfect ball it is, and we're bouncing on the fairway, and the rolls up, and unfortunately I rolled just into the green. This is kind of the worst place because here we need to overpower the putt. That's why we wanted to use that video. So here we rather want to have a little bit longer roll or a little bit shorter roll. This is kind of the medium. I mean, we can't really control exactly how long we're gonna roll on that bumpy fairway, but it truly is what can I say, it truly is a nice shot that we are getting a very simple eagle many of the times. For hole number 8, we do have a direct headwind, and this is going to be maybe a little strange setup here, but when having a headwind on this par 3, it becomes a very difficult one to avoid going into the water if you're using a wood club. So what I'm trying to do here is to use a power 0 ball. In this case, I'm using the Marlin ball, and I'm actually not making any adjustment more than offsetting to the left of the pin. I'm using max overpower with the slowest needle possible, and the wind push here will make me still bounce on the fairway. This may look like a very strange way of playing, but it works to get the ball up towards the green. Will it be an easy one to drop for an hole-in-one? No. It won't, but there will still be a chance. The reason I'm adding the sniper there into the info box is to explain to you that we should be playing the 10% elevation, and we're gonna play it max distance number with the sniper. And obviously that could be that we need to change that elevation depending on what type of wind direction we are having. But let's hope for some crosswind and for some tailwind on this par 3, because if you do get a headwind, I would say that this is close to be a birdie and run. Hole number 9. This is a tough par 5 where when we do have a crosswind and a tailwind, I would say that this is going to be a decent chance for an albatross. But when we do have a headwind of tee, this is going to be a difficult one to get ourselves anything else than an eagle on. We start by using a decent bunch of topspin, all from 5 to 7 bars of topspin, and all the side spin to the left, the 3 bars. Playing with a Kingmaker, adjustment is max plus 15, and then I'm using 1.5 ball of curl to the left. The curl will be different depending on what angle you're having, and the reason for that is that the ball obviously will be pushed differently depending on what wind angle you have. Second shot is going to be played from here with a long iron. You can go for a rough bump if you feel that you do want to take that risk. However, though, the rough, there is definitely a lot of glitch spots into the rough and something to have in mind. So I'm decided to go and attack the pin directly and playing this with a 10% elevation through club distance number. Unfortunately, I'm not really getting the numbers correct here and missing this one with a little bit more than I would like. One thing to have in mind as well is that if we do have a wind that is crosswind playing on this pad, the pad is slightly sloping left to right, so adjusting for a left to right wind like here, we're going to gain a little bit of distance. But if we have the wind direction in the other direction, we're going to lose a little bit of distance because we're going to adjust further down. And that's obviously what complicates the second shot by using that pad. But in the end, you need to adjust a little bit better than what I do if you're going to have a chance for an albatross. The albatross is there, but hole 9 is a tough one. Thank you everybody for watching this playthrough video with variable winds for Pro and Expert Division for the upcoming tournament. If you enjoyed it, don't hesitate to hit the thumbs up button on your way out. Good luck in the tournament.